narrative around the risky strike. Trump's put his presidency on the line, and they noted former presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden confronted similar dilemmas with Iran and made a different calculation than Trump, though neither faced a Tehran that was quite as weak as it is now in the aftermath of the collapse of its proxies in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. Rather than strikes, those presidents sought a diplomatic pathway to limit Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon, fearing the possibility of getting sucked into a conflict they did not desire. There are a couple of things there that I think are interesting to make note of. One is Obama and even Bush, for that matter, but certainly Joe Biden, dealt with a very different Iran than the one that Donald Trump has had to deal with, given how they were, if you put it in street terms, softened up by the strikes by Israel beforehand. But the other part of this is the possibility of getting sucked into a conflict they did not desire. Is that still a risk for Donald Trump at this point, despite his, bravado with his, all caps tweets and all of that, that there's still an aspect of this Tehran, Iranian kind of storyline that could see the U.S. still grappling with this a year, 2 years, 3 years from now?
No, absolutely, because we don't know where this is headed. And you're not going to be able to resolve this issue by military force. Yes, we've degraded, significantly, damaged the Iranian nuclear program, but there's going to have to be some type of negotiated settlement on this. There's some type of negotiation that's going to address the Iranian nuclear program, which is why the Obama administration worked so hard to get the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action in place.
Right.
And so Donald Trump, when he tore up the U.S., agreements to that, basically allowed the Iranians then to go on this path. We wouldn't be where we are today if, in fact, we still had that agreement in place. Because Fordo...
That's an important note to make.
Yeah, Fordo was prohibited from enriching uranium, period.
Right.
And the Iranians were limited by enriching uranium only to like 3.5% level, which is far, far below weapons grade. Mm-hmm. And the IAEA had a very invasive inspection regime. And so the reason why we are here is because Donald Trump, again, pulled out of the agreement. He didn't say no to Bibi Netanyahu, who wanted to go ahead and strike Israel, while Presidents Biden, President Obama, and President Bush told Bibi no. And also, he's the first president to actually carry out these strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities. So, again, we still have a lot to learn. We don't know where this is going to go. Hopefully, it's going to go in a better direction. Nobody wants to have the region just collapse in conflict. At the same time, if they think that this one and done is it, I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen.
To your point about Fordo, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency said, this is a quote from yesterday's emergency United Nations meeting. At this time, no one, including the International Atomic Energy Agency, is in a position to assess the underground damage at Fordo. He juxtaposed that with the claims that the president and, his Secretary of Defense on down are claiming that completely obliterated the site was. No, the Director General of the agency that could say that says no one can assess that at this point. I say that to say this all boils down to the intelligence. And I still think that there are questions, and tell me if I'm wrong, but are there not questions on the table about what prompted the administration to do this? They keep saying that they had information, but the United States did not have that information. So where did that information come from? What information is prompting them to make claims as though the sites were obliterated? The intelligence is actually very important because the intelligence, it should be guiding what we're doing, or am I wrong?
When our intelligence agency says, hey, Iran didn't have the capabilities that the president claimed that they did for the attack.
I think the credibility of this administration really has been shattered. I don't think it was ever strong, but it has been shattered over the past several weeks. The U.S. intelligence community, by all accounts, still assesses that Iran has not restarted their nuclear weapons program, which they suspended in 2003. There's been no contrary claims by this administration that the U.S. intelligence has changed on that front whatsoever. And even if they were moving, as they were, with more highly enriched uranium, they still were far away from actually being able to get a warhead. So what was the triggering event that led the U.S. to actually carry out these strikes? Clearly, I think, as Michael pointed out, Iran is in a much different place now with Hezbollah and the Houthis and others that really have been degraded. Mm-hmm. And so Bibi Netanyahu saw that this was a great opportunity, a very propitious moment for Israel to go and hit Iran. And Bibi Netanyahu led Donald Trump down this path. And unfortunately, Donald Trump followed what Bibi Netanyahu was saying.